Hello, World Civilization 106 class. I want to welcome you all, and I want to also start off by acknowledging something that has been seeming to happen almost every semester that I start now, is that there's some sort of crisis that we're dealing with as we're trying to focus on these classes. So it started with the pandemic and trying to adjust to that, and now the fires. And I was born and raised in the 209. Okay, I'm from Modesto. I went to Modesto Junior College myself. I have friends and family all over the areas with the fires. My ex-wife just contacted me that she had to evacuate. This is my daughter's mom. So I know that some of you are going through a lot of extra stuff on top of all this. And I know that because of the situation with the coronavirus, that many of you would never wanted to take an online class. And this was just something that you were forced to do to continue moving on in college. I just want to let you know that I'm really trying to be helpful for you, to be there for you, and understanding that all of you are going through many things. I was a single father most of my adult life, going to college, going to university, working, and trying to take care of a child. So I'm aware of all these things. What you need to just do is communicate with me if you have any kind of issues or you're getting behind, okay? Because if you're not communicating with me and work's not being turned in, what I see is work not being turned in, okay? So please make sure you contact with me, and especially right now if you're having some difficulties with the internet, and we can try to figure out what to do, or what arrangements to be made. So basically I just want to acknowledge all of those things before we even start. Now, this class is World Civilization, and I've basically turned it into a world religions class, and that's not what many of you expected. Some of you will love it for this reasons, and others not so much. But let me explain a few things about this to help kind of ease your mind. And also, I'm going to acknowledge, and I think I do this in some of my lecture this week, but we start off with evolution, another very sensitive topic. And I come from a very religious background myself on both sides of my family. So I'm aware of this, and I want to say some things to help ease your mind as you start the class, so you don't feel like you're compromising your faith. So first of all, you also just might be an atheist, and you just don't even care about the topic of religion all that much. Well, here's my logic for what I was doing. World civilization, this class covers the world and so many cultures that you've never been exposed to. And I looked at a lot of textbooks, and it's just a lot of information to cover that it's probably not going to interest you all that much, or it's just too overwhelming. Now, what I realized is that, as a history professor, I can choose to emphasize certain aspects of history. And looking at the topic of religion, if you're an atheist, or if you're a religious Christian, Muslim, Jewish person, Hindu, Sikh, whatever, you at least have a thought, an investment in religion. And when I talk about it, you perk up. You have a strong thought on the matter. That is what I wanted to do. I wanted to bring in content that would get your brains immediately engaged. So that's why I picked world religion. And I think, feel very strongly, that because we live in a multicultural world, we live in a globalized society, and whether you support this or not, this is the reality of the world we live in. Being able to understand the root concepts of these different civilizations, their quote-unquote spiritual traditions, is going to just help you be more informed. I mean, so we're going to cover Islam quite thoroughly. We're going to cover Christianity quite thoroughly. We're going to go over even how the Bible was created, outside of the misinformation that sometimes is brought out there, like that's in what's the Da Vinci Code. There's some false information that's put into that fictional work that I want to clarify as well. And Judaism, we're going to cover the Talmud, which is really the central text of the Jewish tradition, more so in many ways than even the Bible itself, which I'll get into all of that. And we'll even cover Viking Norse mythology quite thoroughly, and African indigenous animist traditions in some form. So we're gonna cover the whole gamut, and I'm even gonna try to get all the way into the Americas, this continent before European colonization. So we're gonna cover a lot, and you're not required to believe in any of these systems. That's not the whole point. The point of this class is to talk about how societies developed in civilization, and I'm going to emphasize, and I won't only be talking about religion, but I'm going to emphasize some of their religious traditions, okay? So this is just an objective kind of bird's eye view look into each civilization. Now, let me address why we're starting off with evolution. Well, where do we start off? In the Torah, Genesis 1:1, the first book of the Bible that the Jews and Christians use, it says, Bereshit bara, in the beginning created, and then talks about God creating. Okay? But that's the Jewish Christian tradition. The whole entire world doesn't necessarily fall into that. So should I start with the Rig Vedas of the Hindu tradition? No, I'm not going to start there. Should I start with Native American pre-Christian concepts? Which one do I start with? Well, the textbook starts with the way secular historians and archaeologists and scientists look at the origins of humanity. So what you need to understand about this part on evolution is you're learning, just like when you're studying religion, you're not necessarily studying it, converting to every religion that we're covering, or believing in everything that's covered. You're learning what the consensus view is from the historical, archaeological, secular historical point of view about the origins of humanity. That's what you're learning. When you write on these papers or you get involved in this week's material, I do not presume that that's what you believe, okay? Because I know that many of you don't and are very repulsed by this. That is fine. What you have to do, though, is you have to you have to get involved in, and you have to watch the video. And you need to understand why they believe this, okay? So that's what we're going to do on that, okay? And so... and you're going to see that I'm going to address this when we cover ancient Israel. It's going to be the same issue, where secular historians don't believe that every part of the Bible is historically true, and that is a very offensive way to look or deal with the topic of the Bible from certain religious traditions and points of view. So again, you're just learning consensus views of secular history. Okay? If you don't know what the word secular is, I want you to look it up. Secular. Okay? This class is secular. All of this school is secular. And so you're just getting an idea, this broad view about how this is all covered in this field of history. Okay? And I think if you do that, if you allow yourself to be informed, okay? I mean, just to put it this way, there's a scripture in the New Testament that says, to the Jew I became the Jew, to a Greek I became a Greek. And it goes under this concept of basically that when you're engaging to have a discussion about somebody, the writer is talking about putting your mind in the perspective of the other person. So that's something that's even encouraged from a very literal biblical point of view. So I just wanted to get that out there, because sometimes I've had students that I know the hot button topics. I know what triggers you, and I know what things are going to make people turned off or maybe want to drop this class, and I want to keep you in with me, okay? And some of you that are coming from totally different parts of the world or different kind of households may be just puzzled by why I'm spending so much time on this discussion, and that's okay. You should know though, right? Like, but everywhere in the world there is a certain sensitivity to certain topics that makes more sense when you grow up in the context of that culture than from the outside. So, anyways, I think we're all on the same page now. You get me. You feel me. Now, last thing really quick. The Sunday papers. I'm giving you an example of them underneath. I just want to mention this very quickly, my recommendation. First of all, if you don't have a textbook this week, just work with my lectures and the documentaries that are put out. What I recommend every week is to look at the Sunday topic, then write your notes addressing information that you can use for your Sunday paper. I don't care if you use information from your notes and the discussions and they get incorporated into your Sunday paper. As I will mention to you in the notes, I mean in the excerpt at what I'm leaving you at the bottom of this video is saying these are not research papers. Okay, so stick with the material that we're covering. That's it. I don't want to see any outside sources. I mean it when I say you have to have dates covering the time periods. You have to have a form of work cited, or you will get zeros. And plagiarism, I'm over it. It's been happening every semester. Not one semester do I not get at least 3 people committing plagiarism. You will get an F and you will be sent to the dean. Now, keep this in mind. Some of you, when I say this, that you freak out, and then they start writing, Mr. Pollock, am I plagiarizing? No. If you're worried about it, you probably aren't doing it. Look, Turnitin catches the paper, and it's going to say a certain percentage at times. And I can tell if it's just indicating, basically, I'll be able to tell if you've plagiarized or not. If there is some confusion on that, I will write to you and you'll get a chance to say what you need to say, and we can work it out. And if you didn't plagiarize, I'll know, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you have any more questions about all of this, let me know. Just keep in mind, I do work 2 jobs like many of you. I work at a consignment shop, and that's quite a physical job, very different than this one. I do try to answer texts if I get texts during my lunch break. Now, my phone is messed up right now, so I can't get pictures. Like if you send me screenshots, I won't be able to read it. So just text me, okay? And I will try to answer a question as quick as possible. But I don't work every day. I'm working mainly, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays are my main days. And the other days I'll be grading and trying to answer all your emails and phone calls if necessary. Every once in a while I'll work some more shifts to help out if there's people sick or things getting behind at the shop. I think that's all I need to say right now. And I look forward to this class. I think you will all enjoy this as you get into it. Most of my students get very excited to learn about new things, and you will learn in this class. This class is very focused on that idea that you're going to come out of this as a different person, and you're going to have more understanding about the world than you had before you came to this class. So I'm always excited to be a part of that with you. Have a great week, and let's get started.